Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this meeting, this workshop for the Temple City Council, November 17th, 2022. It's about 5 minutes after 2. Any public comments? Okay, no public comments today. We'll just dive right into the agenda. First is to discuss as maybe needed any regular meeting agenda items for tonight's meeting. Council or staff, anything that needs to be pulled or discussed now? Everybody good? Okay. Next is to receive a presentation from the Emergency Services Consulting Internet, and we're gonna actually table this. I saw Chief's email.
Yes, sir.
Very good. I think they had a family illness, and so we'll table item 2 until, I think, the December 1 meeting.
That's right. Yes,
That's what
sir.
it said.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Moving right along then. Item 3 is to receive a presentation from KPA regarding an update to the Temple Airport future land use.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to give you a brief update on what brought this about. Our airport master plan was done about 2017. It was worked on the prior year, 2016. There was a little bit of different vision of the future of the airport going on there. So we thought that we would work with KPA and Covey to update the future land use plan to reflect the future that we think is really going to happen and hopefully happen at the airport. So we're going to turn it over to David so he can talk about all the great things they did for us on that master plan. Okay.
Thank you, Sean. If I'd have known y'all were having people cancel, I'd have had more than 14 slides. But we do have a really good, I believe, complement to the plans that have already been done, both with the reinvestment zone as well as the master plans for the airport. And we did this with that in mind. We definitely know that great plans have been developed. This council has reviewed and adopted those. We want to make sure we incorporated those into this plan, but also make a large comprehensive plan for the future so we can look holistically at our airport and all the things that we can do.
Do you want to sit here?
So going along with that, our airport is really located in a great spot right now on Highway 36. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, not a lot was out there. You go out there today, you've got great residential and commercial development along Highway 36. Of course, Crossroad Park is right in that area. And we all know the great benefit that's been for the city of Temple and all of the visitors that it does bring into the city. And then the corporate campus master plan that the reinvestment zone did. So when we were taking a look at this plan, we kept all of those things in mind in the relationship that they have with the airport. The other thing I'd also like to point out, a great thing for our airport, that is now our front door. With the help of this council, city staff, and TDC, we now have people that are coming to our community and using this airport as our front door. The things that you guys are doing, the things that Adrian is doing, we're not attracting people from the state. We're not even attracting people from the United States. We have worldwide people coming in to visit us, to look at our community, do business. And so our airport becomes that much more important as being the face and the front door of our community. We did look at this in 5 different sectors. So we definitely wanted to look at different areas and how we could develop them and the things that we could put in them. So this gives you a good overview of what that airport looks like and how we broke those sectors down to start the planning process. So the first sector we want to look at is the one that is the most active right now. If you've been out to the airport lately, you'll see it's under a lot of construction, some of which we're about to talk about. The FDO is going on. The corporate hangar area is in full swing. We have 3 corporate hangars out there right now, several people looking at additional space out there, but through efforts of the reinvestment zone, and those are those hangars that are in purple. I'm not sure if I've got I've got it, but it's not. Whoops. The plants.
That was a switch.
Yeah, that was. Let's see it back up. But anyway, the purple hangars that are shown there, that's our corporate aviation area. And we're in the process right now of building that out with access, water, and wastewater, as well as extending that taxiway or those aprons so that all of that will be available when our partners come in and they're looking for places to put their corporate jets and build new hangars. So that is very much actively underway. Of course, the FBO is underway, the headquarters and FBO. And then we've got other elements that are existing and going today. This is the most active part of the airport. As we go through this plan, what you're going to find out is, again, a very comprehensive plan, and the idea is that this will be developed as needed and as demand requires. We've got about 500 hangars that are shown and planned for in this plan. And the interesting thing is, between the T hangars, the box hangars, and conventional hangars, which are very much the same or close to the same thing, in the executive hangars, we've got about an even split. It's almost a third, a third, a third. Just to kind of give you an idea of, these are rough dimensions, but T hangar roughly 40 by 30, the box hangars and the conventional hangars roughly 50 by 50, and then the executive hangars go anywhere from 80 by 80 all the way up to like the ones that Wilson Art has, that's maybe 120 by 150, just depending on the size and how many jets they want to put in there. So we've looked at all of those elements within this. The area that you're looking at right now,
But then the purple hangars are the executive hangars.
that's our corporate aviation area.
How many of those are currently built, and then what's full build out? Is that full build out, which would be 8?
So, and this is a schematic, because depending on what type and size of jet someone buys and how
Sure.
many they have, they may need a different size hangar.
Sure.
Currently, we have 3, the ones that are in white around there are constructed today. So Centerport
Okay.
Configuration's out there. Pikes Now is out there, and then Wilson Art.
Okay.
So those are the 3 in white that you see. The purple are the ones that we have room to expand.
Mhm.
And some of those could, where you see
That's
two
what-
next to each other, they could be easily one.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um,
I'm with you now.
I think what's really important, and especially with this, the work that the zone did, is it's been planned out, the access will be done, and all the utilities will be done.
Mhm.
And so if somebody does want to come in, those ramps coming into it, they still have to build their aprons to them. Because again, not knowing the size of the hangar that's coming in, we need the taxiway coming in, but then the apron that would tie into that hangar is adjustable depending on their size.
Gotcha.
And just a reminder, the purple one that's shown just right by that white one over there on the left side of the area, that's where we have that right of first option with agreement with Centerpoint. So they want to build once the construction's complete over there.
And of course, the other thing on this slide that you'll see, and you probably know, on the right side, that's where our T hangars are currently. So again, the white is what's there today, and the yellow is what we're proposing to expand. And same way with the box hangars, it would be right in front of it. And then we're looking at some tie down hangars to the far left. We'll go through some of the other elements of this with slides. That red is we're looking at a commercial area, and we'll talk about that here in a second. And then we also have on here expansion and upgrade of our maintenance facility, which if you talk to Sean and his staff, that is a very, very important need out there. So one of the other things that we wanted to do with this plan is start to provide elements of design and elements that would be needed if somebody came to Sean and to the city and said, hey, I want to build a hangar. I want to build this commercial development out here. So we developed a planting plan that identifies specific trees, specific planting areas, grasses and low turfs that are very airport friendly. And so when they do come, we can just hand this to them. They've got a roadmap to go ahead and get started. And by that same token, we want to do the same thing for exterior building materials and the color palette. The idea is again, you're giving them something to get started with. They know what we're looking for. Everything is going to match and coexist with one another. And so when somebody does come, we're able to give them that and they can go ahead and get started on their design. The jewel that is coming, our FBO and headquarters. I actually had a progress meeting on this earlier today, and we are on time and on budget. And so those are 2 great things to be, and I'm very happy to report that we are both. This project is coming out of the ground very quickly, and it's exciting to see that. When you start these projects, you start moving dirt. It doesn't look like anything's happening. It's kind of like what happened over here with the 4th Street garage. It didn't look like a lot was happening. And when you start to come out of the ground, it seems like it goes really fast. And we're getting to that point where things are going to start looking like it's going really fast. This project is again on time, scheduled to be complete August of 2023. And I can tell you, we did tours all over the state when we were developing this project. When this gets completed, you will have to go to Austin, Dallas, or San Antonio to find something that even compares. So
Visually? Are you referring to visually or?
visually and even from a space perspective, the amenities in it, some of the things that we were able to incorporate in here for, they say these are all about the 3 Ps: pilots, passengers, and planes. And we took care of all 3 of those. And so I believe, and Sean will tell you what supports an airport are fuel sales. And I believe that you're going to see an increase in that just because pilots are going to want to come here. We have a covered ramp. That's good for a lot of reasons. One, people, while they're fueling, can park underneath it. More importantly, which you'll see in a slide up here, Baylor Scott and White uses that a lot for medical transport. And if you've ever been on those aprons in the middle of summer in Texas, it's 130, 100 to 150 degrees. We get that shade under it. And, the people that are having to be medically transported are not in a great shape. It's not a good situation. It makes it even worse when they're sitting on paving that's 150 degrees. So that's going to be an incredible amenity for our airport. I really believe when this is done, and again, on schedule, you're going to increase your traffic, which will increase your fuel sales, which will better help support your airport. And happy to answer anything else on this one before I move on. I know that's kind of the current crown jewel out there. Another thing that we'd like to see is our signage and landscaping out there it's become a little bit dated. So we went ahead and did a plan to update that on the east and west entrances of the airport. We think we've talked to the airport staff. We think we've got a really good plan that makes something that's very visually appeasing, but also not a lot of maintenance. The other item we've looked at is the signage. Again, an update on that. Signs out there are getting to have quite a bit of age on them. And because of what's happening at our airport, with the interest in it, we really feel like we need interchangeable signs so that when we do have people interchange names or you have things that transfer, it's very easy to pull those interchangeable signs out and just put a new one in. Our current situation out there is they're permanent, so you'd actually have to replace the sign. This would allow us to build the signage, but then as things change out there, we just simply interchange those small signs. This is a very interesting concept that I think it would be a very, very good asset out there. The one great thing about our airport, it's situated right on Highway 36. If you've been out there recently, it gets a lot of traffic. So we feel like there's a great opportunity to have a joint use, if you will, piece of this for restaurant, retail, and potentially even a boutique hotel. Crossroads Park makes that very interesting to be able to support that with tournaments coming in for the boutique hotel. And then aircraft catering. The restaurant portion of this could very easily be supported just by the traffic on Highway 36. But then you also have the element of aircraft catering to feed those jets that are coming in and people that are leaving during meal times. So another sector of the airport, this one is kind of in the north quadrant of it. The runway you see there is runway 16. Just to kind of orient you, the AMCOM hangars are just down from the 3 blue hangars. We have T hangars sitting in here, executive hangars, box hangars, and you'll see that as a common theme throughout. But what's interesting to me on this one are the blue ones. I think we have a really good opportunity to get some commercial aviation businesses into our airport, especially with the things we're doing. We have a vision that we could get a flight simulator business in, potentially a paint and interior. That's something that we don't have and something that's not in our region, but something that a lot of people look for, as well as a larger avionics facility. All those things will bring planes into our airport, which means they're buying fuel and people are spending money there. So they feel like those could be a really good asset to help feed the airport. So the next sector we're looking at, this one's right over by Fire Station 8. Of course, public safety facilities are going in there right now. Even though we're building a airport firefighting and rescue facility adjacent to the new headquarters in FBO, we felt like this would be a good opportunity, not only to have some hangar space over here, but have a connection from Fire Station 8 over to the airport and the runways. So that way you've got dual safety facilities that could tie in case there was an emergency to help those people that are having those issues. Feel like this would be a really good connective piece to the things that you have going on with Fire Station 8 right now with the Public Safety Skills Facility, and with that connection over to the runway. So we've laid this out schematically to figure out how that would work and how those two would interact together. We did look at phasing of it. We really feel like A and B could go together. B is actually the projects that you have going on right now out there at Fire Station 8. But then A would be that connection over to the runway area, and that would give them access directly to there for emergency services to be able to help the airport. The C section would be those hangars that would be out there. And we really feel like that would be one of the later phases of the airport expansion, that you would do those other two sectors with all the facilities that we showed with T hangars, box hangars, executive hangars before you went over here. But you do have that opportunity with the space that we have to put them over there once that demand hits. So now we're moving on to the east side of the airport. This what we feel like would be your last development area. Everything that's on the current development side of the runways would be done first, and then we would shift to this area. We really feel like we do have some T hangars in this area, which are on your right. And then we kind of shift into box hangars, which are a little bit bigger, and then into the executive hangars. They would tie directly into the runways and have access from corporate campus. And again, later development as demand needs it. But we really feel like that would be a great location as once that demand does hit to expand out to that point. And then shifting back to the north of even that area. So this one is actually sitting between runways 21 and 16 on the north end of the runway. In our opinion, this would probably be the last area that you would develop for a few reasons. Utilities, we'd have to get over there to that area, and water and wastewater. Not a big deal. We're able to do that, but we would have to expand over into that area with those facilities. We didn't really see T hangars in this area, more of the conventional hangars, box hangars, and then the executive hangars. But we really feel like this would be the last piece as demand needed that you would develop. And I believe that is my last slide, and I will be happy to answer any questions. It is a lot. And that is, like I said, 500 hangars is a lot of hangars. But when we went at this, what we wanted to do was have a comprehensive plan. We wanted to look at all of the space and real estate that we have at the airport and see what that would look like and what we could do to plan that out and where you would go in sequence. So it is a lot, and but I think it's also good to have that holistic plan. So as the world keeps coming to us, we know where to go.
Well, that makes sense.
And you did say August of 23 for completion of the FDM?
Weather pending. But yes, and again, had that meeting this morning, and they're actually just a little bit ahead of schedule. They told me not to tell you that. But they are, and doing a great job.
It's Emerson, right?
It's Emerson, and this is, I think, my 7th project with them, and we've really enjoyed working with them.
Any supply chain issues with them?
We've had a few, but they are very much on top of it. So far, it's not slowed our project down at all. They're very, very adamant in getting their submittals in, and we've tried our best to knock them right out so they can get those things ordered and get them in ahead of when they need them. And they've done a very good job of managing and planning that.
Great. Good news.
David, the slide that you showed early on that showed articulation materials.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that one. This is suggested to,
It's kind of
it's not something that we have not mandated it. Is there?
right. That's correct. But a lot of times what will happen is, and Sean may be able to speak to this better than I, But if somebody wants to come in and build a hangar facility or even a facility that's going to do avionics or, flight simulation, they'll ask, hey, do you have a color palette? Do you have a material palette? So this allows us, and I don't think it would be dictated at this point unless we adopted something of that nature, but at least it gives them something to go by and something to shoot for. So they have an idea of the direction they're headed with the materials as well as the color palette and plantings if they choose to do
No,
that.
it's very, very nice.
It's likely something we would reference in any future ground lease that a hangar built. That we're leasing property to would need to comply with the building material standards.
So we will try to do that.
Yes.
That would be our recommendation.
We are already doing it.
Good.
And you're recommending specific plants. Is that something
Yeah, so what
that
we,
they're required to have? They need to have some type of greenery?
no, I don't, Sean Critter, there's not a landscaping requirement.
No,
right now.
there's not. If you're going to put some in, then these are the plants and vegetation that we want done because most of these are not attractive to birds and wildlife that would be up there and,
Got it.
exchange with airplanes, and we don't.
It would be nice to have something out there to break up the CNET
Oh,
monotony.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, concrete everywhere. So,
Most of these plants are, Sean or David, most of these plants, I think, are low water usage, aren't they?
They are, yes, ma'am. We went for things that are aircraft friendly and low maintenance.
Can we go back to just that first or second slide that kind of is the whole airport schematic?
That one?
Let's
Or
talk-
this one?
No, the other one. Yeah, there you go. So current T hangars are where, Sean?
There are your white thin hangers here in the white.
Okay. How, I have lots of conversations about T hangars, about availability. And I have conversations about, whether or not the city, wants more. And if the ROI even, might possibly exist. And in grant funding, I mean, lots of, and frankly, not being in it every day, I don't really know where to go with all that. So can you?
So the way I've approached it is with the increase of prices, we're seeing other airports go out to get quotes. And you're looking at a 10 space T hangar, which is 5 on each side, go for almost $1 million now. And that's just way out of the realm of what they used to be,
And they're 30 by 40, 1,200
Yes.
square feet. So
Yes.
10,000 square feet roughly for $1 million.
Correct.
And
And
what's the rent on something like that?
well, and that's the other aspect is to be a competitive and non-gouging, to follow our grant assurances, we're not allowed to overly gouge. Our prices have to be at somewhat of a market value, which, we constantly do, and we'll keep updating that with our surrounding areas. But the return on investment at that market rate is going to be forever.
Yeah.
So
Just for perspective, what's the highest lease rate for one of our, you have different rates based on different sizes, but.
yes, so currently our largest T hangar goes for $300 a month. And that is a little bit higher than smaller airports than us. And it's cheaper than larger airports than us. And when I say larger, I mean your Austin Exec, Dallas, and those folks. They can, because of their market, get around $500 a month. We could probably reevaluate what we currently charge and get a little increase out of it. But once again, you're still stuck at this cost us $1 million and our return on investment is going to be many, many, many years.
Well, and the return on investment on a new park is, nothing to. I mean, I get that. It's not about ROI all the
Correct.
time. But what's the tipping point? What's the decision point? I mean, is it the length of the wait list? Is it, at what point do you pull the trigger? At what point is the decision made that yes, we're building more or no, we're not for the foreseeable future?
So you're at two avenues of promoting private investment and letting other people build it, make a revenue off of it, but it's bringing more aircraft to our airport and they're buying more fuel. Or you look at it as we can hope and wish that we're going to get a grant from TxDOT. I tried to explain the level of grant approvals. And basically, when you look at what TxDOT and the FAA give to airports is they start at the runway and work out. So your priorities are in any airport that has a runway project, and then a taxiway project, and then a ramp project. And then at the end of that is hangars, things like that. So you're at the discretion and the mercy of TxDOT and the FAA. You can put your applications in, but if all that money is used up by runways, taxiways, and aprons at all the other airports, you're still left with nothing. You're going to get nothing. So the tipping point is, do you swallow the pill and say we're going to help out our local community and the people that have private airplanes and want to be based here and spend that kind of money, knowing that we have hangars that were built in the 1950s and they're still bringing in revenue for our airport. And that's the way it's going to be, further on. Whatever you build is going to be there forever until you tear it down, bringing in money. And it's a service to the public.
I would also add, just generally, if you're talking about non-grant funds, non-private investment, then you put that investment in the prioritization of everything else that comes from the general fund. And so at what point is it, have you covered your essential investments at the airport? You have maintenance facilities, your big kind of basic stuff done, and then it just goes into the entire, what do we need for police? What do we need for fire? What do we need for parks? What do we need for library? It's just on that list in the terms of what is that priority versus other priorities and financial needs. So it's just one of the things you guys get paid the big bucks to do.
I'll forgo mine if we can. So full disclosure, I talk to airport board members sometimes and some things come up.
Yes.
I assume that that this conversation's been had amongst that group too.
Yes, and grants, letters of intent have been sent to TxDOT and the request for ramp space to be expanded to accommodate this expansion and the request for hangars.
Right.
Right now, we're on the radar and put on the map for a ramp expansion in several years. And then after that is still a roll of the dice on whether we're going to get money to actually build and expand those hangars.
Does it make sense? I know a lot of times the reinvestment zone, in order to be in line and maybe even, possibly move toward the front of the line, is it has plans already in the drawer, so to speak.
And we do.
Is something like that, do we already do?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
David and his folks, we've worked with
Okay.
them. We have stuff on the shelf ready to go.
Okay. That's helpful. Any idea what the waiting list is?
Currently, it's 79 people.
And there's how many active hangars out there now?
We have 74.
So 100%.
100+%.
The other thing though is we currently don't charge any type of fee to get on the waiting list. Like some airports, to kind of verify how serious you are, will have some type of fee so that's just anyone who's called and inquired and, so we don't know that there's really
They're serious.
74 active, if you had one today, they would sign the lease, but they inquired and been asked to be put on the list, but there's no skin for them to do that.
How long have some of these people been on the list?
So we have reduced the list, and now the average wait is about 2 to 2.5 years.
Does every hangar or T hangar have a aircraft in it?
Yes. So we do quarterly inspections. We look to make sure there's no hazardous materials or anything like that being stored, nothing illegal. make sure that there is an aircraft that is flyable and registered and insured in it. When I first started, we have had a couple of people that we've evicted. And currently we are about to start on another person, but other than that, yes, they're all full and we inspect them.
You mean start eviction on another party?
Yes.
So of the large hangars, the purple there that don't exist yet, right? None of those exist, correct?
Correct.
How many of those are spoken for?
We have 2 right now.
Okay.
Working on a 3rd.
I heard it's Elon. Is that right?
I cannot disclose that in a public meeting.
Or Jeff? Okay, very good. Council, anything else or staff? Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
How is the air show in the spring going to be affected by all this?
Well, that's a good question. First time I've heard it. I think that most of, well, I don't know, with the FBO.
Does anybody know what FBO means?
Yes.
You do, yes. I don't know if anybody else who does.
So you're asking if the air show is going to be affected by the construction or, no, it's. We're still going to have.
Just adapt.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
I have
Yes, sir.
one quick question for David Patrick.
Okay.
Does this plan have OPCs on the projects?
So it does have OPCs on the projects. What's interesting about this is Sean and I are working through what we believe will be public versus private. Because I think a lot of this will be private. As you well know, a lot of those executive hangars that's out there are private funding. And so we're working through that right now because there's some stuff out here that is due to our plan, like box hangers. Some airports actually build and develop box hangers and then lease those out for multiple space areas. Some do executive. So we're working through that, but we've already developed OPCs for it. I want to work through that with him first to make sure he kind of agrees with our first run at it. Once we do that, then we're going to do a phasing plan. I would tell you the OPCs, but you might not let me come back. But again, this plan, I mean, obviously a huge plan. This may take 75, 80 years to fill up or longer. That's a lot of hangars.
What do you do with the,
The runways are good.
sort of the updated exterior of the hangar? There's not one hangar out there everything out there is our panel. It looks like for the most part. Is that correct?
Yes, there's some facade on the corporate stuff that they'll do brick up halfway or something like that on the front side or the office side, but everything else.
Expect any pushback with those additional aesthetic requirements?
No.
Or they'll just be that?
Yeah, I mean, if it's corporate, we will work with them a little bit more to enhance that area to make sure that it looks executive and corporate like.
Some level, they want that too.
Yes,
Right.
correct. But your other areas like our private hangar area, just some grass, natural grass around it, and that's about it.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on. Item 4 is to receive a presentation on the fourth quarter financial results for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2022.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. I am pleased to present the fourth quarter financials for the year ended September 30th, 2022. Starting out with the general fund, total revenues ended the year at $97.5 million. a budget of 92.5 million, which is 105% of budget. The favorable variance total for compared to budget is 4.9 million, very close to 5 million. As you can see, most of that is from our sales tax of 4.5 million. We did have two areas, the fines and fees are under budget by 500,000. And intergovernmental is under budget by 157,000, and that has to do with one, our COPS grant. We haven't hired the officers for that grant. And then your grant for the, can't think of the name of it, emergency management grant.
Oh,
The
yes,
state,
MPG.
yeah, the state eliminated that grant, so we no longer get it. Just looking at revenues by major source, again, I'd like to show you this pie chart that over a third of our budget is sales tax, very significant source. Ad valorem tax makes up a little over 19%. And our solid waste revenues, which are classified as charges for services, are at 18.51%. As you can see down, franchise fees, a little less than 8%. This chart shows revenue more or less than budget, comparing this year to last year. As it was last year, sales tax, again, a major contributor to being over budget. Solid waste, again, with our robust local economy, greater than budget. Franchise fees, a lot of that had to do with the price of gas, the franchise associated with the price of gas, natural gas going up. Then over on the far right, recreation is still struggling with some of their programs. As mentioned, fines and with the court. I'd like to point out the golf course used to be to the far right, and the last 2 years they are above the line, greater than budget. And the airport did exceptionally well with their fuel sales this year. And then plus they've rented some of the hangars, or the two large hangars on the airport. Just looking again at sales tax, statewide, all cities in Texas had an increase of a little over 15% in sales tax growth. It'll be interesting to see with the state legislative session this year, with the state of Texas having that same increase. Far right, city of Coppers Cove, city of Temple was right below 15%. I also like to show, looking at our annual sales tax by year from 2016 to even looking forward to the budget for 2023. For 2017, 18, 19, 20, we were averaging around a little over 4.5%. Then 2020 jumped up to 5.54%, and that's the beginning of the pandemic. 2021, 16%, ended the 2022 at 14.89%.
And that's year over year.
Year over year. Again, I think a lot of 2021 was related to stimulus monies and the growth in our local economy, but I think 2022, it's just strictly, the growth in our robust, growing local economy and what's going on in Temple. And for 2023, our budget, if we come in at budget, it's 2.82% above where we ended 2022.
And there was nothing special, during 2022, right? There was a couple of years ago, there was
Right. We had some
3 or 4 million maybe from the state that came in that didn't expect, nothing unusual like that. This is just growth.
Yes, actually in 2022, in September, there was an unusual negative audit adjustment where it would have been more than the 14.89%.
Wow.
It was a company, it was span over several years. They were paying sales tax on services they shouldn't have been paying, and it was refunded to them. It's just looking month over month, consistent month over month growth. I think we had 4 months that actually had a negative. Looking at property tax collections, again, FY 22 in line with previous years at 98.18% of current levy, not anything to do with delinquents. Expenditures by type, our budget, general fund budget, over 2/3 of it is personnel. Operations make up a little less than 30% in capital. 2% total at the end of the year, 92.7 million. Okay, our budget was 106 million and percent of budget was 87% total. But, and that gives you a $14 million variance. But if you look at our encumbrances that carry forward into the new year, it puts us at 94.52% of budget for expenditures, or a favorable variance of 5.8 million. Most of that, the 5.8 million, 3.6 million is in personnel. And as 2022, the beginning of the year, we struggle with, and throughout the year struggled with recruiting police officers, had some vacancies in streets, drainage, parks. And I think with our new compensation adjustments that we hope we make a big hit on that. Just again, water encumbrances, you do have on your agenda tonight to carry forward that 8 million in encumbrances. They are commitments related to unperformed contracts for goods or services, such as purchase orders, contracts, or others. And we roll that appropriation to the next budget year of FY 2023. Again, expenditures less than budget, comparing it to the previous year. Personnel, we had a lot of vacancies in 2021 too, but the 3.5, most of that is related to personnel. Our operating was a little bit less of a favorable variance in 2022 compared to 2021. And this is just looking at your personnel, where the major or the dollars for the vacancies come from, police being the top. I think, Chief, you had at the end of the year, how many vacancies? Like 18 vacancies. How many you have today? You had new people added to, new positions. Recreation, Kevin struggled a lot with his position. Streets, fleet had struggled with several of their positions. And then there's the others just all throughout all the departments. Fund balance assigned for capital projects. In our policy each year, we adjust our rainy day balance. That increased based on formula to 23.7 million. Our supplement to the FY 2023 budget for capital and CIS grants total 4.3 million, with available October 1 balance of 6.9 million, slightly less than where it was last year.
Tracy?
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
we increasing the rainy day balance purposefully?
Yes, it based on the policy that you've adopted. It's a formula of how we calculate that.
Right.
We did, there was in 2020 and 2019, it did not, the formula, it didn't require an increase. I believe in 2022, it wasn't required, but we wanted to increase it some, so we weren't hit hard in 2023. Or,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
2022.
I remember that discussion now. Thank you.
Yes. Water and wastewater fund revenues, as y'all all know, we had a very hot and dry year, record drought. Water revenues came in at 103% of budget at 25.6 million. Wastewater services came in slightly under budget at 17 million. Effluent, 113% of budget at 1.2 million. And then other at 2.4 million, 103% of budget. Expenditures ended the year, or expenses for water and wastewater fund. Personnel was at 98%, Supplies, it's 93% of budget. Repairs and maintenance, 97, depreciation, 100. Other services and charges at 98% for a fund total of 98% of budget, or total of $37 million. Hotel motel fund revenues, kind of went out of the park at 2.8 million revenue, a budget of 2.2 million. Compared to budget, that's a positive variance of 667,000. I have a chart here to show you some historical perspective on the revenues for hotel motel. That's 130% of budget. Expenditures were less than budget at 87%, for a favorable net variance of $991,000. This is hotel motel fund revenues historically. As you see in 2019 pre-pandemic, hotel motel business in Temple was really growing. Pandemic hit, it plummeted in 2020, picked back up in 2021, but in 2022, it exceeded pre-pandemic levels. And I think again, there's some big projects going on in Temple, and demand for lots of hotel rooms are full. Good. Drainage fund revenues ended the year at just slightly over 3 million, 101% of budget. Expenditures are at 55% of budget. There are, we do carry some of that forward with encumbrances, but again, that's a favorable variance of 1.7 million. Federal and state grants. I usually don't show this, highlight this, but we have a total awards of federal and state grants on the books of $55.8 million. And breaking those down by what area, the transportation grants of 35.77%. We still show the pass-through financing grant that was a little over 16 million. They built the portion of the Northwest Loop. That's still because we get paid for that annually. It's a little less than 30% of that. And
How
then,
long, Tracy, until that's supposed to be paid?
um,
I know that's.
it's expected it's about a 13-year payout.
Okay.
The maximum it would be was 20 years, the minimum 10. During the pandemic, the traffic counts were down a little bit on the loop, so we didn't get the full annual payment. I think we've got about 6 more years of that, I think.
Full maximum.
Mhm.
Before, I think that was maybe one of the only years that we didn't max out, because
Right.
there's a cap on how, it's based on traffic counts, but then there's an upward cap of how much they'll pay each year.
Right.
And we were consistently hitting that cap, so there's more traffic than
Right.
we could get paid for, except I think that 1 year.
They actually accidentally paid us about a cap 1 year, and we let them know, no, we can't. That's not how much we need, or we're due. The state did. The coronavirus state and local recovery funds, 25%. Community development block grants of 7.19% of that, and that includes several years. They stay on the books until we've expended and drawn down all the funds. Then we have some for public safety, some for the airport, and some health and human services. And I just wanted to kind of break down the transportation that wasn't related to the pass-through financing. That's a little less than 20 million. We have the surface transportation program. That grant was 8.2 million for the Outer Loop West. Highway infrastructure program, Outer Loop West Phase 1 of 5 million. And then our recent federal funds we received related to Veterans Memorial Boulevard of 5 million. We had funding from the Transportation Alternative Set Aside Program for Adams and Central sidewalks of close to 1.2 million. And then for the intersection at 35 up by Adams and Central, those are what we call the KTB funds. I think 2 or 3 years of 540,000 that will apply to that project. Investments, we went a long time with hardly no interest earnings. And then the Fed started adjusting that upward in the past few months, and now at a little over 3% for Fed funds rate. We have a total of $372.1 million invested. Right now, 84% of that is in government pools, 9.5% is in cash, interest earning cash. And then we still have some CDs that are laddered. But with the increase in the interest rates, we will start investing in like federal home loan securities, and to pick up more yield, we'll ladder those. And again, when interest rates are increasing rapidly with the short-term nature of our portfolio, our current yield for the City of Temple portfolio at September 30th was 2.25. Our benchmark was 2.76%, slightly below that. And you can see what it was a year ago. It was 0.06%. Also like to equate interest earnings as far as a percent increase in the rates is equivalent to 1 cent on the tax rate too.
Say that again.
When based on our investment in funds for the general fund,
Mhm.
when interest rates 1% rate, 100 basis points, 1% of the interest rate is equivalent
To
close
1
to
penny.
a 1 cent on the tax rate.
Gotcha.
Our capital improvement program, each quarter, say this is the largest we've had, approaching $500 million, 370 projects as far as numbers. The most of those dollars are being funded through the reinvestment zone, 31% of them, and then a lot of it utility revenue bonds for water, wastewater improvements, 30% there. Looking at the program as far as the status based on dollars, 44% of those are under construction. As far as the dollars, 32% in engineering, 12% of the projects are considered complete, and a little over 11% are still just in the planning phase. And just historically, just to show in 2016, and these could roll from year to year. It's not new money each year, but our program was at 250 million, and it's said today it's over 450 million. Significant investment in our community and capital improvements. Strategic investment zone, current funds available at September 30th, little less than $500,000. We do have upcoming two applications in the pipeline that total a little over 54 million. And then when you add 200,000 for the FY23 budget or funding, and then we have some that are expiring in the first quarter of 2023, it brings that balance up to over $800,000 in the CIS program. And that concludes the fourth quarter financial presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Can you go back to the CIS grant? Check about $800,000.
I think it's around 850,000. I think I have a recommendation to the city manager, Brand, related to that balance of replenishing the general fund balance for some project that we funded out of that with these funds.
Is there more money being added each year? I mean, we used to just, it seemed like by the first of the year, by the first of the calendar year, the money was gone. What's the, why is that?
I think just the number of applications and the dollar amount, and maybe
Are they down and low?
Go ahead, Brett.
First off, what is it? For a while, we were putting, $200,000. Looks like we're still doing that. And so what's different now than what it was?
I think there's a couple of things. I do think we're seeing a little bit of a slower application pool. I don't think we're seeing as much as we saw at one point. But also recall that we changed the formula for how the grants were calculated within the last couple of years to recognize that, when you're first trying to incentivize the redevelopment, there was the necessity for the public sector to put in a little more to get the project started. And we saw the market get to a place where a different formula was still working. So the money that you allocate now goes to more projects than it did historically. So I think the combination of the money going further and in the last year or so, us not seeing as many of the larger projects. We still see a good volume, but they're more on a smaller scale.
Okay. I forgot about that policy change.
We also have, as part of our community development program, one of the strategies that is included in that program is the development of a grant program similar to what we've had with CIS, but for reinvestment and redevelopment in East Temple and in our neighborhood, our other 18 neighborhood planning areas for some investment in upgrades to housing and commercial structures there. So at some point, we could shift some of that funding to start incentivizing other areas that we're looking to have the success we had in downtown. So it's probably a good time to evaluate that and see what we can bring some recommendations back in the next few months for that.
Mayor, back to your question on the pass-through financing. Melissa sent me a note. 2022 was year 7 of the program. If we would do the maximum payout, it will end in FY 2027 at a 12-year payback.
It's good investment to build that loop.
It was
It's made a big difference.
that
Right.
plus the 20 million the state added to that too.
Very good.
Well, and it's gonna be a continuing deal.
It's nice to have a big infrastructure project like that
Yes,
pay back quickly.
unusual.
Very good.
We also have the grant coming up through KTMPO for the inside lanes for a portion.
Mhm.
So that's another big project that is actually 100% grant funded. So no pass-through financing necessary.
There's still no key hanger with that money.
Sorry, I'm doing my best.
What year is that program?
I can't recall. Yeah, I can't recall. They had to move it out a little bit, but there was a possibility, a good possibility that we were going to be able to move it back up. And I don't think that's been finalized, but I think it's still looking
Probably.
possible.
Okay. Very good. That sales tax number at 33%, that's just something else, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. Okay, very good. Ms. Bernard, thank you, council. Any further comments on the closeout of the year?
You will receive your audited financial statements. Probably the second meeting in February, I think.
Okay.
Want to take a recess? We have a.
Yeah. Want to recess for a little bit, maybe? 10 minutes.
Before I bore you with all this. Get your
30
blood
minutes.
flowing, get some fresh air.
We'll recess for about 10 minutes.
Marty, how are you?
I realize with you sitting up. It's not, it's not.
So my seat, I was gonna come sit by Marty.
You gotta wait. Lucky day. Fine, thank you.
You doing well? Traveling?
Typically, yes.
Yeah.
How are you? Good. We have 4 children, 3 of them are married with grandchildren. Christmas is family time. And Thanksgiving, I see you. Grandma.
Well, I have.
It was just one. So, report was, children and pets inside. So it was just their head. And, it was very much.
That's scary.
We're looking fortunate. They were,
Only about.
I like lunch is my meal, like I'm in.
volunteers. So, the bigger dogs, they didn't have any problem. They came right to them and out of the house. But yeah, they could probably come through. He was everywhere. So.
You have regular
that, but they-
What do you think? Was scary when I heard about.
Yeah, we set a couple of crews because of she gets trapped inside. Like I said, they turned that around. Which.
Now.
I'm kind of going over myself, and so. Like, I see my dog like.
Third Wednesday.
I think it's delicious.
The grandbaby.
He, and I couldn't recall if you had scheduled you clearly or a specific time.
I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, but.
We can form it yours.
And I think we should have, if we can get together sooner for the first meeting to get things started, but then as we go forward, in January, maybe just kind of having that time held each month, but I think it would be beneficial. And that. I think that would. So I'll get. And that's one of the big ones. And find places, I'm happy to come together. And then we'll decide based on that meeting, what topics we want to have.
I'm like a waiter. A waiter.
You'll,
At the first meeting. Thank you so much.
What do you think? And whatever's gonna be, you know how we're having a roast fun deal.
And I was like.
Let's start off with us.
Sure. I'll see you then. You're gonna meet me. I'll definitely be there.
Well, that was one of the things when I came on board.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I would, whenever.
I can barely remember the numbers. I thought you were familiar. So what was that?
Thank you.
Maybe.
Let's see what this is all about.
We're still struggling.
I've had 15.
There you go.
That's been the.
Hi.
But I don't know, since the utilization study,
My mind was doing.
speak to the guys we had hired. And there's, I mentioned that we Chad just told us that slide. Needs to be picking up now that we're able to.
You know what I did, Justin? I missed Red Day again. I even put it on my calendar and had
to get cranking again, folks?
Pizza boxes are now acceptable.
Yes, ma'am.
What if they have a little bit of pizza grease?
It's okay.
It is.
You just tore off the top, but you can do the whole thing.
You can do the whole thing.
Wow.
We'll get there. I'll come up in a minute.
You don't want all the juicy stuff yet.
Bryn will be
He
very
needs some
happy.
time to figure out the number system though before he comes up.
Yeah.
I keep dragging little things in to ask.
All right, let's jump back in, and we will reconvene and start with item 5, which is to discuss the temple boards and commission policy.
Thank you, Mayor. So it has been almost 2 years, believe it or not, since we adopted the updated boards and commissions policy. And since that time, obviously, we've been working under this new policy and do have some recommendations for just a few tweaks to the policy that I wanted to present for your consideration. And a couple of changes to 2 of the current boards and commissions. So I will just focus on the recommended changes unless you guys have questions about something in the current policy. So first of all, 2 of our, as council well knows, we have, I believe, 17 boards and commissions. Several of those were newly created the last time we did the comprehensive update to our board and commission policy a couple of years ago. A couple of those new boards, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission and the Youth Advisory Commission, I have a recommendation that we, that at least for now, we remove those as formal commissions that are appointed by the council and move those to more working groups or committees. And I'll explain a little bit my reasoning why I'm recommending that. Council may recall that when we first started our housing and community development program, really before we had a department, before we had any type of really programming of any sort around housing and community development, we established a working committee, a neighborhood services advisory committee. It was not a formal council board. It was just a working group that informally met with staff to help us get that program off the ground and guide us as we began to create something from scratch, from the ground up. And eventually, once we got that program to a point that we felt like we had some good, solid bones and good ways, good programs to recommend to council, we recommended then that committee become a formal board or commission of the city. And we have that now, and it's working really well. I think a very similar process for our diversity, equity, and inclusion program would be advisable since we really don't have a program at all. I think that really having a more informal working group to study what other cities are doing, what potential structures or programs might look like, spending some time formulating a foundation for a potential program, and then bringing that back to council for consideration in the future would be a way to have a more successful look at that initiative versus having a formal board or commission driving a program that really doesn't exist right now. And then the Youth Advisory Commission, it's a little bit of similar reasons, but a little bit different. You all know that I'm really passionate about the Youth Advisory Commission, so I'm in no way recommending it be removed as a council commission because it's not a great program. But just the nature of the high school students that participate in the program, the type of work that they do, the really formal structure of the commission is not working particularly well. So requiring them to post a meeting and making sure they have a quorum, and it's just really not conducive to kind of the learning environment and the volunteer environment that we really structure the program around. So while we're recommending keeping the youth advisory program, we are recommending that it no longer be a formal commission of the city council. So those are the two major changes that I'm recommending. And you'll see on page 7 and starting on page 17, the sections of the policy that lay out those two commissions, I'm recommending that those are removed from the policy and they, again, instead convert to just working groups that are run by the staff team. And then any other place in the policy that references those two boards has also been adjusted, but so those are the major changes. On page 21, another change related to the selection process that we're recommending. In the original policy, we had a sentence that the city council may conduct the interviews in executive session for personnel appointments as provided by state law. With very limited exceptions, you can't do that under state law. And you have decided that you want to be uniform in that. So if you could only do maybe 1 or 2 in an executive session, you didn't want to do that. You wanted to be consistent. So since that's not how we're doing them, we just recommend taking that sentence out. And then on page 25, another recommendation is related to the attendance policy. We had originally a fairly open-ended, really put a burden on the chair of the commission to determine what was an excused and not non-excused absence. And we found that that was not working really well. There's really a lot of inconsistencies, and our chairs, I think for the most part, really wanted more direction than just you have to decide. So we, Jana and Liz and their staff surveyed several cities, probably a dozen different cities, for what their attendance policy looks like. And we found one that we felt like was a good fit. So we're recommending something similar to that, which would be that you can see the change. The city council is aware that board and commission members have careers and other responsibilities that demand their time. However, because of the importance of citizen boards and commission, members have a duty to attend meetings and notify the chair or staff liaison of their board in advance if they will be unable to attend a board meeting. So instead of really requiring the chair to decide what's an excused absence or not, then we list what it would be an excused or considered an excused absence: a personal or family illness, death of a family member, jury duty, service in the armed forces, testifying before the legislature, attending a seminar involving municipal matters of importance, or absence necessary for the member's business or employment. And then we still leave a little bit of discretion, any related emergencies or other matters which the chair finds qualifies as an excused absence. So putting some parameters around what's excused and not, but also allowing still that discretion for issues that might not be cleanly covered in what we have written there. So that's the big change that we're recommending there in the excused absence or absence policy. And then finally, on page 26, we are recommending the addition of a section related to video conferencing. When we adopted this policy, we were under some relaxed or waived rules for the Texas Open Meetings Act because of the pandemic and a disaster declaration that the governor had issued. That has since expired, and so we're back to being required to follow all of the requirements of the Texas Open Meetings Act related to participation virtually, like via video conference. It's still acceptable. You just have to have a physical quorum of your board present in the place that your meeting is posted. Others can then participate virtually, but they have to be on camera and have their audio on in order to be counted for presence as a video conferencing member. We have found a little bit, without some specificity, that there's some inconsistency in attendance in person. What staff believed, we understood your direction was that the expectation is that attendance in person is the standard with flexibility for circumstances that might come up, but that would be the exception to the rule and not the default position. So we're recommending just some clarity be added to the policy that a member has to get approved for participation via video conference in advance of the meeting by the chair. And if they don't do that, then they can obviously still attend the meeting via video conference, but that won't count as them being present for quorum purposes or voting purposes. So they wouldn't be participating in the meeting other than a citizen. They wouldn't be participating as a board member.
What is the chair's responsibility then to document approval? Send something to the city secretary?
I think that it would be fine for them to say
Copy
in
me
the
down.
meeting even that
Okay.
they've approved whatever I don't feel like we need to specify that. And I think it could be up to the chair's preference if they want to send the city secretary or the staff liaison a note, or if they just want to note it in the meeting itself and reflect it in the minutes.
Good
Either way would be
Yeah.
fine.
Okay, good.
What about absent by the chair?
Then the vice chair becomes the chair. So it would be the vice chair approving the absent or the participation via video conference.
Okay. Okay. I guess I was thinking, I'm sorry, I moved back up to the excused absences. If the absence is by the chair, then who either, I know the vice chair would step in if they're not accessible, but who tells them that they are out?
So an excused absence, basically the way this is drafted is that the member, whether member of the chair, whoever, if they're going to be absent, they would notify either the chair or the staff liaison in advance.
Okay.
But it's not, but any of the reasons, personal or family illness, death of a family, any of those reasons is automatically an excused absence. So there's no one's having to approve that as long as it falls into one of those categories. If it falls into the last one, which is other matters which the chair finds qualifying, and it's the chair who needs that, then the vice chair would make that determination.
All right, thank you.
And the same for video conferencing. And then the last section that we're recommending some adjustments is section 29 or page 29 related to public participation. And we're just recommending copying the public participation guidelines that we all went through for the city council governance policy and reflecting those same standards in the boards and commissions policy so that they are consistent. And those are the changes that we are recommending be considered. I'd be happy to answer any questions or.
How has attendance been on the youth advisory? I mean, are the board members, are they excited to be there or?
Yes, I think so.
It's a pretty big board. It's like 16.
It's 15, I believe,
Okay,
yeah. We do not have 15 current slots filled, so I believe there's 10 slots filled. It's a startup program and it's high schoolers. So, expectations, I think it's going well for it being the first year or so that it's been in existence. The students that are participating are very engaged. And actually, I'm meeting with them, I think next week to really, with the I guess maybe feeling like you were going to say yes to my recommendations, which kind of understanding what their ideas for the program going forward and how my office and myself is specific to support them. So I think they are very engaged. And I think it's just, it'll, as we continue to invest in that program, it'll continue to grow.
Right.
I had, not completely related, but yesterday I attended Teen Corps. It was a really great program. If you have time, I would encourage you, and you haven't done that, I would encourage you to go. It was longer than I anticipated. It started at 3:30 and we didn't get out until 6:30, and they heard 5 cases. But the high school students serve as the prosecutor for the state, and then another team serves as the defense, and they're representing another high school student who's been charged with a real, has a real misdemeanor that they're being, and it's really fascinating. So that program, I think, has been nurtured and is really becoming very successful. So I see lots of opportunities for the Youth Advisory Commission to provide that same kind of experience, but with more just general government. So it was fun. You should go if you haven't.
Which one of those one time, and the defendant was a kid that caught smoking marijuana. And he was like, I ain't quitting. He felt no guilt whatsoever. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, there's with the range of 5 of them, some of them were just, I'm not talking, I think, yes, they wouldn't say nothing. And then, some of them were more.
Yeah. This kid was super aggressive. He was ready to fight somebody.
Going, yeah.
I was in teen court when I was a traffic ticket, and I had to write like a 5-page paper on stopping it all, or something like that.
I will not drive you. I
You're
will
like,
not drive you.
I know, but it's interesting. Kathleen has really taken that on and has done a great job.
Yeah, I think she's a teacher at heart.
Really show up there.
Yeah. So you're looking for a head nod.
She tells them, like, in the moment, like, hey, maybe you should think about asking this type of question. I mean, it's really, of course, me as a first year law student, I wanted to get up there. I really wanted to be on the prosecution team or the defense team. Like,
I got you, kid.
Can I sign up?
Yeah.
Where can I
I'm
sign
gonna
up?
make somebody cry. Very good.
I just had one question. It may be in here, I may be missing it. But I think we briefly talked about adding the clarification that a quorum consists of the active current members instead of the full board, because this year we had a parks, we were down like 2 people, and if people didn't show up, they had to getting forums, and we would have to fake language in here. Well, I don't just, yeah, we can have it if y'all are comfortable with that. Like if there happens to be a vacancy, a quorum would consist of only the current members and not. the full
So if
board.
you have
Positions, not
position,
not all.
so if you have 9 positions, but only 7 of them are filled, the quorum is based on 7 and not 9.
Oh, yeah.
Is that okay?
Of course,
Okay.
of course.
All right, so we'll make that change. Everyone comfortable with the other recommendations or?
The only thing I would suggest maybe is under video conferencing, after you've established that the chair can allow someone to participate via video conference, maybe just add another sentence that if approved, then you have to keep your mic and your
To be
camera
clear,
on
yeah,
in
that's a great
order
idea.
to be
To
counted
move that. That's a great idea.
And let's talk real quickly about the fact that we have some people that have already missed 3 meetings in a row, and we're sort of giving them a pass. And then, for now, they may or may not have been aware of it, but now to reinforce the fact that you have 3 unexcused absences in a row, you are off the board. Correct?
Yes, that's what the policy says. I think we lack clarity historically in whether if you participated via video conference, you were counted or not. So just our recommendation is going forward, we reinforce, we remind everyone the attendance expectations and what's required to participate virtually. And then kind of going forward, we keep track of that. And we also, the other thing, Mayor, you and I talked about, which I think is a great idea, is the staff liaison letting Jana's office know when the person has missed 2 meetings, so they can be given a warning before, being a little more proactive and communicating with someone who might be having absences for a reason that could be excused, but they haven't reached out for whatever reason or just reminded. So we will, that, I don't think that has to be reflected in the policy, but in practice, that's what we will do.
My point to that is we interview, we appoint, and then if someone ends up not following through, we as a council may hear about it. So just, this is sort of wiping the slate clean, informing board members of the policy, and then from now on, holding them to it. So. You got your head nod.
Thank you.
Okay. Last on the workshop agenda is to receive a departmental update from Public Works.
You guys prefer I stand here, back there, anywhere?
You're good right there?
Okay, right. So, I think I know most of you guys, but, or I've met you. If not, I'm Jeremy Schroeder, Street and Drainage Director, stepping in Kenny today, so may not have that Kenny magic, but I'll step in here and do my best. So.
Does Kenny
I
have
don't
magic?
know. He says he does, so that's all I can go off of.
He told him to say it.
He did not tell me to say it. He'd probably kill me if he knew I did.
Kathy has questions about Canyon Creek.
Oh, don't even get me.
Please. Okay, so Third and Adams, that has been upgraded to what's called, excuse me, I have notes because I'm not super versed on traffic signal. That is called an audio intersection upgrade for the pedestrian setup. And the plan is to continue to upgrade those as we go in the future, but that's.
Does that mean they beat?
What's that?
Does that mean they beat? You said it's an audio?
Audio,
So
yeah,
it beeps
that's audio
as you-
countdown. So I believe it counts down before you step into the intersection, or it tells you to step into the intersection. So
It's for those who are deaf or hard of hearing so that they have, it's an accessibility. It provides tones based on, when it's safe to walk and when it's not safe to walk and when it's getting, the kind of toning out instead of the visual of it.
sorry, I wish I could give you more information on that.
No,
That's the best I got for that one. Loop 363, we had approximately 6 miles of wiring stolen. I think it consisted of about 89 street lights from Fifth Street to the industrial park. And so what's that?
When did that happen?
I think it was a couple months ago, a few months back.
And how did you find out?
I'm not sure. I believe somebody called in saying that some of it was stolen, and we started investigating and discovered that it just carried on from there.
The
So
lights didn't work.
Oh, that's fine.
All at
And-
once?
I know other cities had the same problem, so I guess, the economy like it is.
Is it copper? What's it called?
It's copper. Yes, ma'am. So it's about 89 streetlights. So we're currently looking into the cost for repair and replacement for that.
Didn't they back up with a pickup or something? Pull?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I heard that at least at Fifth Street and Lions Park, that's what they
So
did.
what can we do to keep this from happening in the future?
I think that's part of what's being looked into as well by the traffic man or the traffic director.
Those boxes locked,
Yes, sir.
and just rip them up.
Rip one up. Bolt cutters, whatever they can do to get in.
That's your brain.
That's
Have the
determination.
have the perpetrators been caught?
I haven't heard that any of them were caught, so not to my knowledge. So,
Cameras at
The camera section.
yeah, it could be. These are some of the guys that we've hired over the last few quarters. And that ranges from street drainage and traffic signal. And actually, since this slide was done, we've actually hired 3 more folks and got them on the groundwork. So it seems that since the compensation study and the results from that we're slowly starting to get more folks in here. It's getting a little easier to get qualified guys and get them to work. So we
Jeremy?
appreciate that.
So, any of those rehires?
Yes, one of them that I'm actually about to get on board tomorrow for the new position for our transportation maintenance guy, kind of liaison between us and fleet. Yeah, he worked here under our drainage crew before, so now he's going back into that position. Yes, ma'am. This list is some streets, and one area for flashes that were actually brought to our attention from council or city manager's office. The first 5 of which are areas that received, street reconstruction, or in the case of, Our Lady of Guadalupe, that was an alley reconstruction and paving job. Yes, ma'am, no problem. We've gotten all those done, and then flashers on Eberhard, that's pretty self-explanatory, but that was for Meta. We got those up, and I do know that there could potentially be a temporary traffic signal there as well in the future, but that hasn't been determined yet.
We're not gonna like that. In the industrial work.
Traffic.
Mhm.
To see if Jeremy will give you one of those magic buttons where you can just change it.
You need to talk to Michael Phillips.
Okay.
He's the magic button man. He's the magic button. Waco Road was on the previous list. But West Adams from Kegley to Pea Ridge, that's actually due to be looked at for timing, traffic signal timing. That's the next area that they're gonna look at for that. And then Mauser Road construction, I'm sure most are familiar with that. And Mauser Road and the fun we've had with that. We're hoping to get to that spring, early summer, as soon as we can get, more staff in place. And the reconstruction of East Monroe would be after Mauser Road, pretty quick after that. And I do have one more note before I turn it over to you, Justin. We do have 2 traffic signals under design. One is at Orion and 317, which is, we have the 90% plans for that, and it's under review. And then Hartford Bluff and 31st Street is being looked at by TxDOT, or well, actually we're waiting on information from the consultant about that. Sorry, again, I'm not super versed in traffic signals, so forgive me. But that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
So the Hartford Bluff and 31st, you anticipate when maybe?
I don't have a timeline for that right now. We're still waiting to hear from the consultant on that one. So.
Jeremy, is that Hartford Bluff?
Did I say 31st? It is Hartford Bluff and 93. I'm sorry. My fault. My fault. Sorry.
I just
You don't have any magic.
I know. That's why Kenny needs to teach you inside. Anybody got any other questions that hopefully I answer right?
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bet.
Can we send a message to Kenny through you?
Sure.
Tell him that I keep getting calls about Dogwood Lane.
Oh, okay.
Where's
I'll
that?
tell him.
Please.
Yes, ma'am.
It's past disreputable.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Okay.
Thank you.
He'll know it's from me.
Susan, where's that?
Huh?
Where's Dogwood?
Over near Tractor Supply. Really bad.
Shell Ford had that in the list.
No. Oh, it's not near Shell Ford.
No.
Oh, right. That's not what you said. Sorry.
Don and Ralph are both out sick, so I got called in today to provide the magic for fleet and solid waste. Solid waste, I'm comfortable with. We'll start off in fleet. The vehicle and equipment accountability policy did get approved back in August. And so that fleet's working with other departments to get that going and get an agreement between fleet and other departments to just hold people accountable and how they treat their vehicles that we provide for. So it's a good deal. I was actually the guinea pig for that. Solid waste was. It's been good for us. Some of the purchases that were made that fleet took care of was a roll-off truck for solid waste, the new rear load truck that you may have seen around town. I'm really proud of that one. That's a truck that we do not have to have a CDL driver operate. And I have several staff members that love to take it out and do some cleanups, stuff like that. So
Does it have a nickname?
we just call it the rear load. It's really, really boring, but I know. Yeah.
What do you call it?
Rear load.
Oh, beer.
Rear.
Load.
Yeah.
Right on the back.
They can ride on the back on the back. But it's we don't typically do that. But
It's the old fashioned.
it's the old fashioned truck in a trash truck.
There you go.
Yeah. That's what we are, the old fashioned.
So it doesn't, does it have the forks that pick up?
It does not. No,
Okay.
you just manually load the trash in the back of the truck and then it eats it.
Gotcha.
So it's really fun to operate. We got a new brush and bulk truck this year also, and then some
That's its name.
new police vehicles as well. Do you know how many chiefs we bought?
There's 13 on the ground right now.
13 new trucks that was purchased this year for utility vehicles. There was some internal promotions. Kelvin Sears, he was the heavy duty truck foreman, and now he's the operations manager. And Stacy Garcia got promoted to the heavy duty foreman in Kelvin's spot.
And Stacy being up there reminds me that, just been, Susan, you'll appreciate this. I signed the interlocal agreement with TISD for the internship program with their students. So that is exciting and
Good.
thank you for.
Well, is Ralph left?
He's not, yeah, he was.
Oh, I'm sorry. 'cause
I've got a slide for that.
Okay,
Here in a
sorry.
second.
This is really important because I think Ralph is the brains behind getting this off the ground.
Yes, ma'am, you're
The
correct.
energy and the,
He's the one that held the meetings and
good,
got
good,
this going.
good. I'm sorry he's not here for all of us to thank him again.
I am too. Um, Some other things that Fleet got taken care of, in FY 22, completed their inventory with no discrepancies, which is, they have a large inventory over there. They got tight controls. FY 23 light duty vehicles and heavy duty trucks have already been coming your way, and you've seen those in some council meetings. So that's things they've been working on: streets, parks, utility capital assets. Fleet motor pool, they've added a, what's the word?
Module.
Say it again.
A module.
A module to faster software. So we have the ability to keep up with departments that may need to share vehicles. So it is what that's going to be. So we're starting that. And then the next thing is the TISD work study program that is kicking off. And thought he had a note here. Not sure exactly what the date is. He didn't write it down, but that is kicking off. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's January. I think it's after the new semester starts.
I'm pretty sure that's what he told me.
Yeah.
Was that your slide on it?
It is, yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry.
Pretty disappointing. How many? That guy back up there. How many students will participate in the TISD program? And will they be at Fleet? Will they do some of the learning at the CTE building on campus? Just real quickly, how's that program going?
The way I understand it is they do have the CTE program, and it'll be those students that'll come to Fleet once or twice a week,
Okay.
and they'll work at Fleet.
And how long, when they are there, are they spending half a day
I
there?
believe it is half a day. I think it's 4 hours.
Okay.
And they'll come in, work in the building, get with the mechanics, and get their hands dirty.
Okay. And these kids are juniors, seniors?
Juniors and seniors. Okay. Is what I understand.
Does any sort of certification come with that or?
Through the
Just some
CTE
good
program.
hands-on-
It's through.
Hands-on experience?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we're actually, Ralph would probably want me to say this. It's one of those things that we're looking at having TISD graduates come back and work with us.
Yeah, right.
So,
The other thing we're exploring, which I really would like to happen, so during the school year, it's a school program and they're getting class credit. I would really like to, before the school year's out, is to start a summer internship program where we pay them so they continue to work with us and learn and keep that environment. So, and then especially if it's a senior that's graduated, then perhaps we can even put them in an apprenticeship. So we're working, this is first step, and then we're hopefully more to come.
Do you know if there's any kind of certification testing that they have to do that possibly the city could cover that cost for them?
I do know, I know that there are, is it ASCA, ACSE?
ASC, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is maybe not required, but is good for you to, it's that we help provide for our own employees. So I think that could be something that we look into to help support the students.
That'd be
That's a
great.
good idea.
You know, in the summer, the workforce has a summer program where they place students based on income, but they could also pay them. So I could tie that together and see what else they could
That's a good
offer.
idea. Yeah, I know we've used that program. I know Nancy has had
Yeah.
people work in her department through that program. That's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that.
Tie it together.
Fleet's also working with IT and the Synovia GPS upgrades. That's the GPS system we use in our everyday white trucks and all the vehicles city vehicles that we see outside there. So
Does that have cameras on them?
Kelly,
They do not.
they do not.
Not
They're
today.
not required to.
We could add them, but they're not on there today.
Next things they're looking at is drainage for with code and parks, also spray rigs, skid steers, mowers, ball fields, and 3-wheelers. I'm not sure what the 3-wheelers for.
All field free.
Yeah, I'm not
Sure, I'm not sure either.
3-wheelers.
They're getting into it.
And then they're
It's some
working.
kind of mower, I think.
Is it a mower? Okay. And then are also working on the FY 23 through 28 5-year outlook for budget. What assets we need to do.
Is the GPS on all vehicles, no matter what, or just like the rear loaders? What vehicles are they on?
So in solid waste, we have Routeware. So that we have different software for those trucks and how we track.
So it's typically tied to a software package.
Correct.
I got you.
And Synovia is a lot of the white truck fleet, the pickups. Is a lot of those kind of the GPS utility trucks.
Synovia started
Really
2
random.
administrations ago, so I just want to say that it is very, very random. So I don't think there's really, I think if memory serves, maybe departments, 10, 15 years ago when we started the program, could self-select in certain vehicles, and maybe there was even like a certain number at first of pilot. So one of the things that I'd asked IT and fleet and performance excellence to work on together is let's evaluate that program. What cars do we have? What vehicles do we have it on? Where do we have needs? Who's managing the data? What are we doing with the data? So performance excellence with their data analyst position is going to take the lead on managing the data. And then fleet obviously has a larger support role in installing and maintaining the trackers, and then IT obviously with the software. So we have that program has been not top of mind for quite, it got installed and then it just kind of lived there for a while. So we are really looking at if we're going to continue to make the investment in keeping that, is it useful? How can we make sure we're maximizing it? So right now, I don't feel like we have a good response to which vehicles it's on and why. I mean, we know which vehicles it's on, but why is it just on those? I couldn't give you a good response, but we're working on evaluating that program.
And we kind of got held up, Bryn. We started that analysis, and then we got told that the 3G devices that are currently installed are end of life. So we're just trying to replenish what we have and then get back to figuring out which additional vehicles need to be added.
And another part of that is I touched on the fleet motor pool for sharing. That data that performance excellence and IT we're going to be able to look at. It's like they can look at this equipment and say, this doesn't get driven that much. This could be it, and go into the share pool, and so we know that we're utilizing assets better.
Interesting.
And it's a sequence. So the vehicle accountability policy and sharing policy came first because it's the policy that lays the foundation for the goal of having a fleet sharing program. So for example, if a department needs a dump truck, sometimes, but not all of the time, I don't want us to have a dump truck in parks and a dump truck in, Transform Temple or utility services, and they each need it 3 months out of the year, but we're buying 3 separate ones. So we want to manage more effectively. So first we wanted to put in the parameters of, because a lot of the barrier to that is I don't want to share my whatever with that department because they don't take care of it. So here's the policy for what the expectations for usage is, and the accountability standards. Then the IT piece comes in for the module on the Faster software that we use to manage our fleet system that essentially allows a rental. We're serving as our own rental company in some ways, so that we have the scheduling and the tracking and the bill back provisions. And then getting the asset tracking helps us, along with other data points that we have from fleet and other metrics, to put that all together and help make decisions on even our current vehicles, what could go from a assigned asset to a shared pool based on what's actually happening to it.
Mhm.
So if it's sitting, for 90% of the time, that department probably doesn't need it assigned to them.
Moving on to solid waste. We just had our secure document shred event this last weekend.
Again.
I think we had over 4 tons in those 2 hours of shredded paper. So this last year, we bought, thanks to finance and city leadership, we bought 12 new runoff containers. And this is to keep up with the growth. I'm going to have another purchase coming this fiscal year, a large amount of number. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. 702 on tonight's agenda actually is residential containers. 702 is how many we get on one truckload. And that lasts about 2 months.
Wow.
And so you'll see that, I'm sure you've already seen it, the agenda item tonight to purchase more for this fiscal year.
Justin, what do you mean they last about 2 months?
We go through them. Houses being built, we
You hand them out.
hand them out. Yes, ma'am. So
How does one last typically?
there's a 10-year warranty on them.
Wow.
And so that we've not been good in the past of going back to the company and saying, this didn't last our 10 years.
Mhm.
The previous ones we were buying from Toter, they were 7 years. And this company is, that we're buying from Ray Rig Pacific, their 10-year warranty. And I'm putting a system in place that we're keep lids, wheels, all that kind of stuff. We're trying to keep track of when they break, and they have serial numbers on them when we bought them. And we're starting to track that. So it's something that we're getting better at because they are expensive. Their cost keeps going up on this.
Justin has done an amazing job with this of containers.
That used to be something that we were not managing well, and he's really turned that around.
Thank y'all for saying that. Some initiatives that we kicked off after COVID, after pandemic, is we've been participating in all the family days that the city holds over at the museum or wherever they hold them at. And another thing is we've been reaching out to the schools and having contests for recycling. And Mary, you've come out to a couple of those, and where we're getting out certificates and those things.
Those Scotties, they love their recycling.
Yes. Yes.
For district.
Yeah. Based out of this, though, the idea came upon the calendars. And I want to talk about the calendars a little bit. Last year was our first year to do the solid waste calendar. And it's school age kids that give us a drawing, and we had multiple entries last year, and we picked 12 or 13, one for the cover and one for each month. And with the help of communications and marketing, they actually submitted this. They helped us put it together, and then they submitted it for an award, and we got second nationally for this calendar. The one I handed out today is this next year, 2023. And I gave y'all each 2 calendars. We had so many kids put in, we made 2 different calendars, right? So, there's 24 kids that, got published, I guess is what you say. So pretty neat deal, I think. I'm pretty proud of it.
Justin, I know this isn't directly related to solid waste or to recycling, but the kids that did the designs on Market Loop
Yes,
for the train,
yes.
somehow we need to do something with those designs. They are just wonderful, every one of them.
I could probably get with Nancy and we could put our heads together and think of something to,
I mean, they'd be such a great calendar.
yeah.
Love this stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Every first day of the month, we have a thing in our office. We go and look at the next one. Yeah, so.
I have, me with my random ideas, but since we're talking about kids and artwork, I feel like we should have a contest where we ask kids to draw, like, on Christmas decorations on the light poles, like their stars or their candy canes. I feel like we should have a contest where we ask kids to submit ideas for those and we have them custom made. So like if one is a reindeer, that's made with their drawing and then that goes up. And then the next year we have another kid feature and then you'll have this walk of all these cute custom made little decorations from kids.
Be great.
We love the
Yes.
Forgot the H on the end of it. but We love the art.
That's the cutest one.
Based on I want to say thank y'all for the compensation study and the given to city staff. Based on that, though, we had a couple internal promotions. Bobby Benny on the left, he is our equipment operator at the recycling center. He's the one that gets to push all the stuff around that gets dumped, unloaded out of the trucks. And crew leader on the right is Glendon Hanson. He goes by Mark, but he's the crew leader at the recycling center. So we made 2 internal promotions over there. Oh, there's their names. Yeah.
Linda, Mark.
This is the new solid waste complex and this is a few months old, but you can kind of see the large project that has started out there. The back up here is going to be the large recycling warehouse and maintenance facility for the trucks and container shop and all of that stuff. The front pad up here that's poured is the solid waste administration building. And then back over here is going to be container storage. And then we're going to have an area here for brush, for tree trimmers to come and drop their brush off to save that from going away.
Are Mark and Benny excited about this?
They are. They're very excited. The building that we're working, I don't know if y'all seen the building we're working in, but they're counting the days. So, yeah. Some purchases that we're going to need to make or that we already have made is the cardboard baler. We're expecting to get that in March, the new baler for the new building. We currently are going through the bid process for hauls and processes of recycling. Recyclables that will get delivered to the new building once we move into there. We kind of broke it out, the hauling and the processing. Currently, Balcones does both, but we wanted to kind of see what we could get the best value there. We're going to be ordering furniture for the new buildings pretty soon. And then this is kind of an updated picture of what's happening up there. And there should be some more pictures here. Yeah. So this is last month. You see the skin on the administration building getting put on. The metal is in the air on the back, the structure for the recycle center. There's closer pictures of the front office and then closer pictures of the recycle center. Very excited to get this. They are on schedule. Looks like it's going to be March, April timeframe when we move in. We'll have a big fish fry or barbecue or something out there. So that's something to kick it off. So
Is that area there that's below grade, is that where the trucks pull through and they
Yes, sir.
push the recyclables onto the trailer?
Yes, sir. Let me show you. You see it?
I see there.
See right here?
Right.
So the 18-wheeler will drive in under the building here and all the recyclables will get pushed into the pit and fall into the truck.
Yeah. Are those baled? Typically? I mean, are they being pushed onto the flatbed?
They're being pushed on into an open top trailer that, it's a 53-foot
Yeah.
trailer and it just gets put in loose and we have a crane that we'll actually use to pack it.
That's
Okay.
the service
So-
center, and then that's the current, that's the
Yes.
landfill current.
Yeah. We're still close to the landfill, just on the other side of the loop.
You don't have scales? Where are the scales at?
Yes, ma'am. Maybe a better picture right here. We're gonna have our own scale out there so we can, currently, all of our recycle trucks go to the landfill and sit in line there, get weighed, and then drive back over to the recycle to drop. And so we'll not have that process anymore. We'll get to drive straight to our facility, weigh the recyclables and then dump. And so
Do you have a skeleton to manage that?
we're gonna have a skeleton to manage that.
And tried to get Blake to let me buy that big $300 skeleton. One of those.
I would be glad to put it out there.
You didn't turn it down?
Radio story.
We just had in October, as y'all know, we just had our household hazardous waste event. Every year this event is getting larger and larger. This year, we did have more cars than last year, but it's only by 15. Well, it's like from 650 to 665 cars that came through this year. Another successful event. I think one of the reasons why we didn't have the percentage jump that we've had from year to year is because this last year we started taking paint all year round. And so I think that was part of the reason why we didn't have a big jump in numbers of participation.
Wait, you take paint all year round, how? Where?
At our solid waste office,
You drive it out there?
people drive it out and they
Deliver it to them.
deliver it to us. Yes, ma'am. We have a bay that we keep paint and where we have the oils and all of that we take all year long, we started taking
I didn't
paint.
know that.
Yes, ma'am. We didn't advertise all the way. We put it on our website, but we didn't do a media release or anything like that. It's something that we're growing and we have more paint than we know what to do with right now.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
What do you do ultimately?
The latex paint is what we take and we try to, we've been mixing colors and farmers have been taking some with them. They come out and paint their gates or paint their cattle guards and all that kind of stuff. So it gets repurposed. But a lot of it also we dry out. And then once paint's dried out, you can responsibly put it in the landfill.
So it dried out, what, in the can?
Yes, ma'am.
How long does that take?
A long time.
But do you put something in it? Some sort of desiccant or something?
We could, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't.
We don't.
Okay, I figured that's how you.
Yeah. Sometimes we, people bring us carpet as well. It's not anything we advertise, and we pour it out on carpet and let it dry out as well. And that's another responsible way to get rid of it. So, yeah.
It's like a lot of tires. How many tires this time around?
We filled up the 2 trailers that and which is good because we pay by the trailer. And some of this, you see this container right here. We take tires all year long. And so some of that we brought over from our stockpile. And that's how we fill the trailers at every HHW event. We're going to have another tire event coming up because we still have some in the back that we need to get rid of. Tires is an issue. A lot of things, I will say we have not been finding them in the ditches and on the roads as much. Transform Temple has we work close with them with the dumpster drop, and they have a tire trailer that they put out there every month for that. And we're getting a lot of tires from that. So.
Justin, what if would there be any logic in advertising free used paint?
I'm thinking of, yes, ma'am, there would be. There, actually, I've looked at City of Austin. They have, it's called, I think it's Austin Renew or something like that. And they offer 3 different colors of paint, and they actually have a process and a paint mixing thing. And they take all the colors and figure it out by a computer somehow and get 3 different shades, and they advertise these shades for home builders to come and get. So,
It sounds like something good, Justin, we should look into, and maybe trying to do the palettes that are in our neighborhood plans. So let's talk about that.
okay, yeah,
And don't forget Wildcat Blue.
Wildcat Blue, yeah, absolutely.
The house color.
You see on the left, the trailer full of paint, that was at the HHW event. And that's, that was how much latex paint that we kept from going to the vendor. Because trying to keep costs down, paint is one of the most expensive things to get rid of. And so this year we put our own City of Temple trailer out there and stopped people from taking the latex paint to the environmental folks. And we're trying to do that in-house to keep costs down as well.
And the communications and marketing, designing a label,
We talked about that.
this whole thing going.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty good.
Some large projects that we're currently working on, as y'all know, the Meta's in phase 1. HEB freezer expansion is going. We're providing lots of services out there. I actually had 3 guys in a Meta training yesterday, getting trained on entering and exiting their job site and speed limit rules and all this kind of stuff. They were there from 7:30 to 10:30. And so it's longer than I thought it should have been, but it's a big commitment for our department to, and we want to do it top notch. And so we're out there currently. I think they have 16 roll-offs on their location. And a lot of that is recycling. That's what the 85% means. They have a target of doing 85% recycling for the lead project that they have. So, yeah.
Last time I was at doing a Meta site tour, the managers, the project managers mentioned Justin's team by name. They knew their names. And said they were some of the best staff that they have ever worked with in any city. They are very accommodating. They make a lot of requests, they say, and that Justin and his team rise to the occasion to get them what they know their names.
So Justin, what kind of requests do they make? I mean,
we're recycling the wood, we're recycling sheetrock, we're taking all the plastic, we're taking the concrete and getting that and all of this saving from going to the landfill.
right.
So there's a lot of logistics that goes in place. We pick up the containers, we take them to a separate place, we go and weigh it, we bring it back, depending on what the material is. A lot of logistics for that, but.
Probably, I don't know how long ago, a couple months ago, probably more than that now. I did a ride along with one of the roll-off drivers, Blaze. And we went to Meta, I think 4 times that day. So they will ask for, a container to be emptied, and then when it's brought back, put it in a different place on the site, or even one that's not full yet to be moved somewhere else, or for that day they also were trying to get one more dump in than they had previously scheduled. So little things all the time that were just trying to meet their needs and keeping their project done. We dumped concrete, which goes to Miller Springs for, I just sat there. But he dumped concrete, which goes to Miller Springs for recycling. And by the time we brought the roll-off back to set down on the site again, they literally were ready. They had a load of concrete ready to dump in. So the minute that dumpster, that roll-off hit the ground, more concrete was going in it. They're moving.
And what do you mean Miller Springs recycling concrete?
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, they take the concrete and pulverize it and make it another material that they could sell or use. A lot of times it's filling in the hole they dug,
Right.
something like that, so.
Not the park.
Mhm.
Not the park.
No, I'm sorry,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Material.
Yeah.
The core.
Miller Springs Material Corp.
No,
Okay.
I know where it was.
So Justin, we,
I think I said it.
We have a lot of weight in our. We've hired someone to come and squash it.
We can always
Because we don't have to dump it quite as often. Is that something that the city should purchase, some kind of machine like that?
I know who you're talking about. He reached out to me. I don't think it's anything that we want to provide a service for. I'd be open to looking into it, but
I was just curious.
yeah, we recommend to our customers that want compacted that they just buy a compactor and then we haul the compactor. HEB, I think I talked about that. Their goal is 80% recycling. So kind of the same type of service that we're giving Meta, we're going to be providing to the HEB project as well.
You doing that by weight?
We are.
How you figuring the percentage?
Yes, sir. How much total, it's a diversion rate. So how much goes to the landfill? There's going to be obviously some stuff in the landfill, but overall the weight, they want to recycle 80%. So, and then south side, as you know, Simple is growing that way and we're gearing up to provide all the services going down south, all the residential area. That's my last slide.
Where is the free composter going?
It is going at our new facility. It's going to be, show you exactly. So this is the main drive coming in for the trucks and everybody, the scale here. The composter is going to be right off of this main road right here. So.
And so this will be kind of like the old recycling program. People that want to bring food waste can do that. And then restaurants is there going to be a program to assist the restaurants with their food waste?
I don't know that yes, we should get there. I don't know that it will be that way right off. It's our unit that we're getting is 500 pounds a day. I think if we open it up to restaurants, we easily have more than that.
Sure.
So.
But we aren't contemplating any pickup services at this point.
So strictly drop off and then.
Strictly drop off. We are picking up from that.
But for general routes.
Right,
correct. Nothing like that.
And then compost, and then what happens? We use it in city parks. We use it, people can come get a free load of it or buy it or.
And that's something that I don't think we've set any policies yet.
To be determined.
But I'm certainly open to it. And we need to see what the demand is. We don't know, I
don't think the city could probably use.
I would think so.
All of it.
Yeah. The 500 pounds of food turns into 50 pounds of dirt. So.
How does it take to do that?
That's 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
It takes 24 hours to convert 500 pounds of food to 50 pounds of dirt?
Yes, ma'am. And then the dirt is still growing or working. It's hot. It's the terminology.
Right.
It's 3 more weeks. It's still hot. So we'll need to put it in a location, let it sit, let it finish doing its thing.
And it's physically hot. I mean, it's not just organically.
Correct. Correct.
Spontaneous combustion.
Mm-hmm.
Is this like Dillo dirt from Austin?
Yes. Denton has dino dirt.
Okay.
The city of Denton does it also. They have dino dirt.
And do you know what city more than one city are recycling waste for fertilizer?
Fertilizer. Yeah, that's what this is. That's what it turns into.
Right.
It's good.
No, I
work.
understand that,
Yeah.
but this is food waste.
But
There are cities that are recycling sewage waste.
oh, okay.
We actually had a meeting about that a few weeks ago.
Oh,
Literally, we talked about Dillo dirt.
good. I've used a good bit.
And you came up with anybody for your household?
Yes, I wanted to thank Chief for coming out.
Ooh, little touchy, little touchy.
I miss putting him on a deal. He's bringing it out back to me. I miss putting him on a thing that we were collecting drugs that day. We did have the old drug take back. It was very successful. I don't know how many pounds, but it was.
Y'all took more drugs off street that day than PD?
Yeah, we did. Thank y'all.
You.
Thank y'all.
Good job.